Hello and welcome back. In this video, we are going to discuss the inverse of a function, at what is inverse of a function and how do we find the inverse of a function. Basically, inverse of a function is also a function that reverses the operations of a function and their order too. Like in inverse of a function, we reverse the operations of a function and their order as well. And inverse of a function f of x is written as f raised to the power minus x, and it read as f inverse of x. Let's understand it with the help of an example. I have taken an example of function f of x defined as 2x plus 1, and we know in this function x is the input of the function while expression 2x plus 1 is output of the function. Now let's first understand that how this function is working. That input was x, then it multiplied with 2 becoming 2x, and then we added plus 1 to it so that the output 2x plus 1 is generated. Now in inverse of the function, we will inverse the operations and order of operations also reversed. Like the last operation will be reversed in the beginning of the inverse. Like x is the input of the inverse function, then the plus 1 will change into minus 1, giving us x minus 1. Then the second operation, the multiplied by 2, will be reversed, and multiplication is reversed by the division, so we will divide it with the 2, giving us the output of the function x minus 1 divided by 2. So that is the inverse of given function f of x equals to x plus 1. The inverse of that function is x minus 1 divided by 2. That was just an understanding of the inverse of a function. Later we will discuss a better method to find inverse of a function for all kind of functions. Now let's understand another point. If I take 4 input for the function f of x, same function defined by 2x plus 1, and put 4 in it, I get 9 as its output. And then I replace this 9, the output of f of 4, in inverse of the function, and I get the result 4. So it clearly means that the input of the function f equals the output of function f inverse, which can also be said that the domain of function f of x is equal to the range of function f inverse of x. And similarly, we can also declare that the range of f of x is equal to the domain of f inverse of x. And these two things will be helpful in finding domain and range of inverse function in future. Now here is the method we were talking about, that there is another better method to find inverse of a function. Here is the procedure for it. We first replace f of x by y, then we make x the subject of that equation, then we replace x with f inverse of y, and in f inverse of y we replace y with x so that we get f inverse of x. Let's apply it for the given function f of x is equal to 2x plus 1. First, suppose that y equals 2x plus 1. Now we need to make x the subject of this formula. For this we move plus 1 on left hand side, it will become y minus 1, and then the coefficient of x2 will be divided on other side, and we have an equation where x is the subject of the formula. I can also write it as x equals y minus 1 divided by 2. Now in the third step we said that replace x with f inverse of y. So I replaced x with f inverse of y. This is f inverse of y while we needed f inverse of x. So we replaced y by x, and we get f inverse of x is equal to x minus 1 divided by 2. And this is the same inverse we already obtained in the beginning of this video. Now let's discuss this question where he said find inverse of following functions. The first function given as f of x equals 3x minus 2 divided by 5. So in order to find the inverse of function, let's follow the procedure we discussed in the example. That first suppose it equal to a new variable y, y equals 3x minus 2 divided by 5. Then we need to make x the subject of this formula, and for this we have to remove the denominator and multiply on the left hand side. It will become 5y equals 3x minus 2. In next step, because the term involving the x is 3x and minus 2 being subtracting from it will be removed and moved to the left hand side. It will become 5y plus 2 equals 3x. As we need x, the coefficient 3 being multiplicand of x, it will be moved to the left hand side. It will become 5y plus 2 divided by 3 equals x. Now, as we have subject x, we can replace x with the f inverse of y. So, f inverse of y will become 5y plus 2 divided by 3. We have inverse of f, but that is in terms of y. We needed it in terms of x because the function was in terms of x. So, replace y with x. Replace y by x on both sides. So we'll get f inverse of x equals 5x plus 2 divided by 3. So that is the inverse of function. Now let's discuss a crucial point, that how can we replace x with f inverse of y. For this, let's consider the very first point where we replaced f of x with y. And if in a function I remove the function, move to the right hand side, x is left here, it equals the f inverse of y, because whenever we move a function to the other side, it will become always inverse of that function. F will become inverse on the right hand side. So x equals f inverse of y. That's why we replace x with the f inverse of y. Now let's discuss the second part of the same question. Question is given as g of x equals the square root of x plus 1 divided by x minus 1. So first we take it equal to the new variable y equals the square root of x plus 1 divided by x minus 1. Now we need to make x the subject of this formula, and we can see that x is in the square root. So first we have to remove the square root and we will take square on both sides. The left side will become y square and the square root on right hand side will cancel out, giving us x plus 1 divided by x minus 1. In next step we will move x square minus 1 on the left hand side, giving us y square times x minus 1 equals x plus 1. So just multiply y square with x minus 1, giving us y square x minus y square, it equals x plus 1. We can see the subject x is appearing in more than one term, so we need to collect the terms with x on the left hand side, and all other terms free of x will be moved to right hand side. So y square x containing x will be here, then move x from the right hand side to left hand side, it will become minus x, and the y square on left hand side will be moved to right, giving us y square plus 1. On the left hand side we can take x common, so it will x times y square minus 1 equals y square plus 1. Now we are only one step away from making x the subject, because the multiplicand y square minus 1 can be moved on the right hand side and it will definitely divide. So y square plus 1 divided by y square minus 1 equals x. Now we can replace x with f inverse of y. It equals y square plus 1 divided by y square minus 1. In next step we can replace y with x in order to get f inverse of x, and it will become x square plus 1 divided by x square minus 1, and that is inverse of the function given in the form of g. I made a mistake by writing f over here, it was g. So it will be g inverse of x, and here is also g inverse of x equals x square plus 1 divided by x square minus 1. Now I have taken a question where we will be able to revise all the concept we recently studied. So for the function f of x defined as 3x minus 1 divided by x plus 1, we have to find f of 9 first. So that is the most basic concept of functions, that we have to replace x with 9. 3 times 9 minus 1 divided by 9 plus 1, right? So 3 times 9, 27 minus 1 will be 26, and divided by 10. So the answer to f of 9 will be 2.6. Now coming to the b part, where he said find x when f inverse of 5 equals x. Now it looks like we have to find the f inverse of x first, but in such questions we do not need f inverse of x, because if I move f inverse on the right hand side, it will become 5 equal to f of x, because the inverse when moved to right hand side will become simple function f, and that is an equation because f of x is replaced by its expression 3x minus 1 divided by x plus 1. We just need to solve this equation for x and we'll get the value we desired for. So multiply x plus 1 with 5, it will become 5x plus 5 equals 3x minus 1, which is definitely minus 3. F inverse of x. We are to find f inverse of x. So just follow the procedure we recently studied, that suppose it equal to a new variable y equals 3x minus 1 divided by x plus 1, and we need to make x the subject of this formula. So multiply x plus 1 on left hand side, it will become y times x plus 1 equals 3x minus 1. In next step, multiply y with x plus 1, it will become yx plus y equals 3x minus 1. In next step, collect the terms with x on left hand side and all other terms on right. So it will become yx minus 3x, it equals minus 1 minus y. All right, on the left hand side we can take x common, so it will become x times y minus 3 equals minus 1 minus y. Now we can just separate x because the multiplicand y minus 3 can be divided on the other side. Minus 1 minus y divided by y minus 3. Now we have just changed the subject of the formula. X is now subject. So we just replace x with f inverse of y according to procedure. It will be minus 1 minus y divided by y minus 3, and because we needed f inverse of x, it's f inverse of y, so replace y with x, it will become f inverse of x equals minus 1 minus x divided by x minus 3. So that is the inverse of function f. Now here comes the last part where he said find range of the function f inverse of x, and we know the range of f inverse basically equals the domain of f of x. So in order to find domain of f of x, let's write f of x, it was 3x minus 1 divided by x plus 1, and we can see that that is a fractional function, right? So it can be undefined if the denominator becomes 0. X plus 1 0 mean that x equals minus 1. So the function will be undefined at x is equal to minus 1. So the term x minus 1, so the term x is equal to minus 1 cannot be part of domain of function. So domain of function will be df equals all real numbers except all real numbers except x is equal to minus 1. So that is domain of the function, and that is actually the range of function as well. Range of function f inverse equals all but x is equal to minus 1.